Now that Spider-Man Far From Home is in production in London, and it's more or less confirmed that Jake Gyllenhaal is set to star as the primary antagonist Mysterio, things are looking good for the webhead's next outing. Of course, we've been down this road before. Good, or in this case, great casting doesn't automatically make a movie good. I mean, you can't just cast an Academy Award-winning actor as an iconic comic book villain and expect greatness. However, whilst I could go on and on about how great Jake Gyllenhaal is and why Mysterio is great and why he better have the fishbowl head, I won't, because I want to discuss something more. An element of Hollywood I've always found fascinating but doesn't get nearly the amount of coverage as posters, trailers, or TV spots, but is an equally important part of what goes into making a movie, and all that begins with a casting. In pre-production, casting directors work with both a director and a producer to assemble the perfect cast for the film. They organize and conduct interviews and auditions for each part, and are also in charge of offering each actor an appropriate fee to appear in the film, and they also draw up and negotiate the terms and conditions of contracts with agents. Casting directors need a vast knowledge of a huge range of actors and an extensive understanding of their abilities, as well as a thorough appreciation of changing trends within the film industry, and this requires a strong instinct for acting talent and great dedication and commitment. Now, how many times have you seen a casting for a comic book movie be met with hostility? The answer, loads of times. Even the ones that are praised have their passionate naysayers, with many saying they will ruin the movie even though they have no idea what the director wants to do, they've not seen a frame of footage, and let's be honest, sometimes we like to hold these characters too close to our chest.
And so they send me like, I won't even say who they were, people who were in these movies who did a great job. Yeah. And people, these things were like, kill him!
This means a lot. After the movie, you like it.
When Tom Holland was cast as Spider-Man, there were a number of people, and still are, who were mad that Andrew Garfield didn't come back, and that they cast a younger actor, and it was all just noise. The beautiful thing about casting for me is how it gets me thinking, so hear me out for a moment. After the success of Wonder Woman, it's only natural that Patty Jenkins was given more creative control over the upcoming sequel, and fans expected Cheetah to be cast as the antagonist. Naturally, choices like Emily Blunt or Charlize Theron were thrown around to play the ferocious feline, but then she comes blasting out with Kristen Wiig, which tells me one thing: Patty Jenkins isn't making the Cheetah that fans expect. She's making her Cheetah. I've always imagined that Mysterio would naturally be the next villain to appear after the Vulture. He's visually appealing, he's a fascinating character, and with the amount of movie references that Tom Holland's Spider-Man makes, it only makes a lot more sense to have him as the villain. I had always envisioned Zachary Quinto as playing the villain, since I've seen him play alien-like characters before, plus he looks a lot like Quentin Beck from the Ditko comics, and my mind was locked and immediately set on that. What happened when Jake Gyllenhaal was cast is that my mind was completely white and free to form a new idea of what this version of Mysterio could be. The character Mysterio first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man number 13 as a villain who framed Spider-Man for a robbery and then was later revealed to be all smoke and mirrors. The great thing about Mysterio was the way Steve Ditko drew him, almost drawing inspiration from sci-fi B-movie imagery of the time and the art covers to create his iconic look. And naturally, when he's confirmed to be in the movie, fans are demanding the fishbowl head. Like me. Jake Gyllenhaal's career spans an actor who constantly transforms himself to play other roles, like a chameleon of sorts. You look at him in thrillers like Donnie Darko or Nightcrawler compared to dramas like Stronger or Southpaw, but it isn't method acting like, say, Jared Leto's Joker. Gyllenhaal strikes balance between being a professional and losing himself in a character, which I believe makes him a great choice to take on Quentin Beck. Why I believe he is a great choice is because Quentin Beck is also a man who likes to transform himself as if he's putting on a great show, and Gyllenhaal has proved himself to be quite the scene stealer. What it also means for Spider-Man is a great form of character arc. In the early Ditko comics and some of the TV shows, Spider-Man couldn't rely on his eyes and ears to defeat Mysterio like he would any other foe. Instead, he had to rely purely on his spider powers against Mysterio's artificial illusions, which, imagine this as part of the criticism for Peter's constant use of Tony Stark's gear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If, in Avengers 4, Tony Stark passes away, this could be a movie about Peter moving past the grief for his his mentor and learning to become a hero without the reliance on his mentor's tech, hence becoming more like the independent Spider-Man that we know. Whether they'll do that or whether Mysterio will be another fun MCU villain, I don't know, but I hope they wouldn't waste him or Gyllenhaal's talent. What makes great casting isn't just in the final product, but the imagination it allows for us to be put in the shoes of the director. Next time you see a casting choice like this, rather than make a snap judgment, try and put your mind into the eyes of the director and envision what kind of story they're trying to tell with the casting choice, because I can assure you, that's a great lesson.